Hey guys, my name is Sherjan. For those of you who are new here, I was a vice president in investment banking at Morgan Stanley, and prior to that I was at Google as an investor. But on the internet, I'm your personal mentor. So welcome to my channel. So today is my first ever YouTube video. Yes, I'm a total noob at this, but to make it interesting, to get more views and obviously extra followers, or the first followers ever, I came up with something juicy, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. So today's topic is how much money did I make as an investment banking analyst? Yes, I'm gonna tell you exactly how much money did I make. Now, if you don't wanna watch the entire video, I understand fam, no worries. Look, you can skip over to some of these points or these things that I'm gonna hopefully put after, which people say you should put, and then you can skip to exactly when I release those numbers. But if you enjoy this conversation, you wanna actually understand the entire journey of what those numbers look like, then tune in, sit back, grab a coffee, we'll go through it. So how much do these greedy investment bankers actually make? Look, we've heard a lot of big numbers, big bonuses, these Wall Street guys, you know, making a lot of money, models and bottles, blah, blah, blah. Some of it's true, most of it is not. I can guarantee you that. So I've worked twice as an investment banking analyst, once at Houlihan Lokey, which is a middle market boutique investment bank. And then I worked at a bulge bracket called Morgan Stanley. So I know, exactly how much a first year and a second year analyst makes, and I'll share that with you. And not only will I share that with you, I'll show you exactly my W-2s and some of my official tax documents and bank receipts so you know exactly how much I made. So we'll talk about monthly salary, we'll talk about annual salary, but then we'll also talk about the taxes you'll pay. Because look, that's not the money you're getting. Your gross income isn't the money you're getting. It's the net income after all the taxes. So we'll talk about exactly what that looks like. After that, I'm gonna talk to you guys about what does it look like after all of your basic expenses, right? You gotta pay rent, you gotta pay all your monthly expenses. So how much money are you left with after all of those things so that you can then spend on bottles and models that people say you can spend on? And ultimately, I'll also kind of share with you what does the hourly wage look like? Because look, you'll be working a lot, long hours and stuff, and then we can decide, is it justifiable to be working these hours to making that kind of money? So anyways, tune in, here we go. So first of all, you'll be working really long hours, right? We know that in investment banking, you'll work super long days. Generally speaking, you'll start around like 9:30, 10 in the morning as an analyst. When you get in, most people aren't in the office unless there's some straggler investment banking analyst from the night before who pulled an all-nighter. Poor guy or poor gal did that, feel bad for them, but guess what? That's the part of the job. So you'll get in usually around 10 a.m. Then, you're not doing much until 11:30, 12. You're just replying to some emails. Around 12, 1 o'clock, you'll all go for a lunch break. Usually people go downstairs, they'll grab a bite to eat and bring it back. And then usually around 1 p.m. is when real work actually begins. So if anybody tells you that, oh my God, I work super long hours, yeah, they do. But most of these folks actually start working at 1 p.m. And trust me, I've had a bunch of analysts who worked for me who didn't get shit done until it was like 1 p.m. So anyways, 1 p.m. is actually the real time these folks come back to work and actually start doing things. That's when it gets really busy. Usually it stays busy until probably like 4 or 5 p.m. You'll go through some presentations, you'll build some models, you'll get on some conference calls, whatever. But remember, around 6 p.m., that's when a lot of the senior people are leaving because they have families and whatnot. So around 6 p.m., a lot of the work that the MDs or the VPs have or the directors have, they'll push it down to the associates and the analysts to get done overnight. So around 6 p.m., a lot of these folks leave, but the analysts, associates, some of the VPs still stay behind. Analysts obviously will stay behind. And they'll crank on some of that work around 7:30, 8, right before dinner. Usually around 8 p.m., they'll have dinner, get something downstairs or order in from some of the, the food apps that exist. And then, back to work around 9, 9:30. And around then, there's a bunch of work that's piled up because, look, the MD's been reviewing some of the work that you've provided them. So they'll give you comments, that's what they're called. And then those comments need to be converted, need to be turned. That's the term that's used in the industry. So you as an analyst are spending, the next 2-3 hours turning those comments till 11 p.m., even midnight. And then around midnight, there may be some other stuff that's left. If it's an important meeting the next day, you'll probably spend another couple of hours doing that. Maybe you have to print books. Printing books means like actually taking the work that's been done and making it into client-ready presentations. So usually around 2 in the morning, 1:30, 2 in the morning, most analysts are reaching the end of their workday, but most are actually already in their cubicles and done for the day. But anyways, those who aren't done, they're still working. Some of them even pull like 4 a.m.s, 5 a.m.s. Some even stay the entire day, like I said. So in my life, I've done some long hours or long days where I've been the entire day in the office. But remember, most people around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. will end up going back home. So Long story short, basically that's kind of how a day in an investment banking analyst life looks like. It's a lot of the time spent behind a computer, but you're getting paid for the long hours work. But remember, the key thing here is you're not getting paid hourly, right? The reason you're paid that bonus at the end of the year is because you don't actually get paid hourly. You just get paid a certain amount, and if your performance is good, if you've done great work, then your bonus is going to reflect that. So that's just the first point I just want to mention, why I mentioned the long hours. On average, people are working around 70 to 90 hours a week, but we'll just assume 80 hours a week is usually what most people are pulling. So now let's talk about salaries at different places. Remember, like when you're working at a bulge bracket to a boutique bank to a middle market bank and different geographies, you could get paid a very different amount. And it's not about like, the better the brand, the better the paycheck. It's actually the opposite. Because remember, bigger brands like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, there's a lot of people that are analysts there, and they're part of a massive family, a massive organization called Goldman Sachs. So whatever money your group makes gets distributed amongst all the people in the company, including other divisions like fixed income, sales and trading, wealth management. So just because you're working at a big brand, there's a higher chance actually that you'll make less money than when you're working at a boutique or a middle market fund. So if you think about on the boutique side, let's say you take a company like Catalyst Partners, which is a really good M&A shop, they'll actually pay you more than a company like Goldman Sachs would pay. Why? They only have 50 to 60 employees and they do big deals as well. And from those deals, whatever money they make gets divided into only 50 people. Now, obviously, it's not proportionally divided, but that's important to understand. Just because you're at a bulge bracket or a big name, brand name fund or a firm, you're not going to make the most money. Mostly, you'll make better, cash money in other places. All right, so let's move on to the question of the video, which is how much money did I make? So I have two pay stubs that I found. One is from Houlihan Lokey, the other is from Morgan Stanley, and both of them will show you exactly how much money did I make. So this one that I'm showing you right now is from Houlihan Lokey, and what you can see here is that I made $1,615.20 for 6 days of work, right? So this is the pay stub that I found, so I'm just sharing this with you guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this number, and we're going to start from this number, and then we're going to extrapolate this to a monthly number, and then I'll walk you guys through this. So $1,615.20 is my gross pay, not net pay, and not net income. There's a difference, and I'll walk you guys through this in a second. Anyways, so that's the first one. Let's start with that one, okay? So come join me. We're going to do a little bit of a, back of the envelope math on my iPad, and walk through this.
All right, guys. So let's start with Houlihan Lokey. So what you see here is this is the pay stub that I found for Houlihan Lokey. The key thing to note here is this is actually a pay stub for 6 days of work because it says 48 hours. Now I know, nobody works 48 hours in 6 days because generally you'll be working 80 hours a whole week. But this is for 6 days, and they're assuming that you work for 8 hours a week, 8 hours a day, and the rate that they're paying you is $33.65. But the key number here is the 1615.20, so 1,615.20 for 6 days of work. So what we're gonna do that, we're gonna convert that to 20 days of work. So I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna actually do the math here for you guys. So this is obviously for Houlihan Lokey, so I'm gonna write Houlihan Lokey so you guys know this is one of the investment banks that that I worked at. Now, the salary that was provided to me for 6 days of work, so 6 days was $1,615.20. Right, so that's the salary that was given to me for 6 days. If you extrapolate that number, so I divided this by 6, multiplied by 20, because 20 is usually the days you'll work over a 4-week period. So for 20 days or 1 month of gross salary, so gross salary is $5,384.00. All right, so this is the salary that you get paid on a gross level, meaning before taxes and before anything else. But obviously you gotta pay taxes. The first tax you gotta pay is federal tax. So I'm gonna put in federal tax. And this is usually because of the bracket you're gonna be in, it's gonna be around 23%. All right, now federal tax for this number is about, and obviously I've done high level math, so if it's a little bit off, don't worry, but you guys will understand, is $1,236.03. So that's the federal tax you'll pay. Then you'll also have to pay state tax because you're working in some sort of state. Now obviously this is me doing it in California. So state tax, and I remember that was 9% at that time. So that number comes to $474 $1,000.66. Now next up, we got to pay Social Security, right? So Social Security is something that they'll take. And remember, these are things that the bank will, or the firm will take off of your paycheck before you even get the paycheck. That's around 6%, right? So that number is 298.48, right? And then finally, there's gonna be Medicare that you have to pay, and also you'll have to pay SDI, and I forget what SDI is, but I think it's disability insurance or state disability insurance that you have to pay. Both of these are around 1% that you must pay, or something along those lines. But anyways, this number comes out to 78.07, and this one is 0.5%. Comes out to 42.71, right? So basically, gross pay of $5,400 basically, then you're paying federal tax, you're paying state tax, Social Security, Medicare, SDI. And when you do all of this, you're ultimately left with $3,254.04. Right? So that's the number you're left with as net pay. So this is net pay. Now this is the pay that you will get in your bank account at the end of a month, or at the end of, I guess you get the paycheck, twice a month, but this is basically for 30 days of pay. Now, obviously, this is not exactly how your money is going to look like at the end of the day, but the first thing we want to do is we want to keep this number in mind, and we want to first figure out how much am I getting paid ultimately after I pay all of my expenses. So what's the money that's left over in my bank account? So we'll just say income, right? That's the money that comes inside your bank account is $3,254, right? So we're just doing some high level math here. Then the biggest expense you'll pay is rent, right? So rent's gonna be the biggest expense. On average, people in, let's just say, New York City, San Francisco, they'll usually share a room with some friends. So you'll pay about $1,500 for rent. Then the next big thing that you'll be spending on is food, right? Now, yes, you get some of your dinners comped by the firm, but you'll be spending some money on food. And this is a low estimate. You're spending $500 on food on a monthly basis. I think you'll definitely spend more, if you go out and you eat out a lot, because remember, like a sandwich these days in New York City costs $15. So you're definitely, spending $30 to $40 a day on just food. Then transportation, right? So let's just say you're using public transit like a subway or Uber or something like that. You're at least spending probably another $500 per month on transportation, especially if you use Uber. And if you have a car, oh man, it's even more expensive with parking, fuel, insurance, all those things. Then you'll have a cost for gym. If you want to stay healthy, you'll probably spend about $100 on a gym membership. And you'll have let's just say a phone bill. So I'm just gonna add another one of those line items. That's another $100. So you started with $3,300 as your income on the top. You pay your rent, you get some food, go to different places, you pay for your gym and your phone. So ultimately, the money that's left over, so this is your, basically remaining, your savings, let's just say, and I wouldn't even call them savings, just money left over, is $554 per month, right? So $554 per month is left over. Now remember, you haven't paid any student loans, you haven't paid anything else, but that's kind of the number you're expected to have at the end of the month when all is said and done. When I say all is said and done, only these things are said and done. Now this number, this 3,254, this number is basically, if you divide this number by 320, the reason I say 320 is, remember I said like you work 80 hours a week on average. So if you're working 4 weeks, 80 times 4 is 320. So 3,254 divided by 320 gives you $10 an hour. So that is your hourly income, hourly wage rate is $10 an hour if you're a first year analyst because of all the work you do. So this is the high level math of what I made based on the number that I showed you, which was on my Houlihan Lokey pay stub here, and that was this 1615.20 for 6 days of work. All right, so next up we'll do some other stuff, but that's the number, $10 an hour. Not that exciting at all.
Yeah. So income of $3,200 brings you down to $550 remaining after basic expenses. That's not a lot of money these days, right? You're not gonna be able to do a lot with that. And remember, you haven't gone on dates, you haven't paid for some cool subscriptions like Netflix or other things. So not a lot of money to play with. And you're making $10 an hour. Oof, I don't know, man. Like, this doesn't sound that appealing, right? So anyway, so that's Houlihan Lokey, income of $3,200, and left with $500 at the end of the month, $10 an hour. And guess what? Remember, the key thing also is like all the time you've spent working. So don't even have time to spend the money, and you still haven't paid your student loans. Still haven't sent that money back to mom and dad. Remember, I got brown mom and dad. They want money. So yeah, tough life. Anyways, let's move on to Morgan Stanley. All right, so for Morgan Stanley, looking at this number, so the number to pay attention to, and this is, by the way, my second year number because I didn't have the first year W-2 for some reason. W-2 is, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is kind of a tax form you get from the employer at the end of the years to show you how much taxes you paid or should pay. Anyway, so the number here that's important is the $127,156.20, right? So remember, that's the number I got paid for my second year. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use that number and we're gonna bring it down to my annual salary and then also my base plus bonus compensation, because remember, salary is divided into base compensation plus bonus compensation. But this was for my second year. We're gonna rewind time a little bit and go into first year as well from the numbers that I remember. And I remember my base compensation as a first year analyst at Morgan Stanley was actually $70,000 annual, plus my bonus, which was kind of called a stub bonus, was $30,000. So total compensation about $100,000, and we'll do the math. All right, anyways, let's do the math first. You'll understand what I mean, and then we'll come back to this second year number of $127,000. All right, let's do this.
All right, guys, so now let's move on to Morgan Stanley. So now this is the second year pay stub that I got at Morgan Stanley, and the key number here that you see is the 127,156.20, right? So that's the key number. Remember, that's the second year number, and it includes also my bonus. So we're gonna start with that number, and I'm gonna start with first year first. So the number that we have for Morgan Stanley, let me just write Morgan Stanley here, is 127,156.20. Now what this number is, it includes $80,000 of base salary, right? So that's the salary that you get that gets divided into 12 months, plus you get about the remaining, which is $47,156.20. So this will be the bonus, right? And this will be the base. Now this is for second year, but what we want to do first is we want to do the first year salary. So the first year salary is usually $10,000 less than the $80,000. So the first year salary is $70,000. The base salary is $70,000 on an annual basis, right? So this is $80,000 minus $10,000, and we're going to start from that and kind of figure out what that number looks like on a monthly basis. So what I've done here is I've actually taken this number and I've actually converted it into what that looks like. And the number is basically, we'll start from actually taking out the federal taxes first. So base is this. And that number is 42,307.41. Right, so that's the salary I should get. And if you take the salary and you divide it by 12, you'll get your monthly salary, and your monthly salary is $3,525.62. So that's the number that you'll get on a monthly basis, right? That's the income you'll receive. So now doing what we did before for Houlihan, let's start from that number. So your income that you're getting in your bank account as a first year at a Morgan Stanley is $3,525.62, right? Now, first thing we gotta take out is rent. Ultimately, when you do this, you're left with $1,126, right? So that's the number that I have here. Now, obviously, if I change transportation to 500, now I have it at 200 because when I was at Morgan Stanley, I wasn't actually, traveling a lot because I live pretty close to work. But if I use 500, for example, then this number can actually come down by 300, so you'll be at 826. Now, having said that, what does this number look like? This first number look like on an hourly basis. So I again divide this by 320 like I did before. So your hourly salary comes to $11 an hour. So if you remember before at Houlihan, I had $10 an hour. Now I'm getting about $11 an hour, so it's a little bit better, but not that much better. And that's just the first year salary. But the key thing to remember is, like, I'm obviously making some of these assumptions. This was my, scenario, $200, but you might be living in a different place where you might have to use Uber or something else, might be $500. But again, you're not really saving much. You have about $1,000 at the end after paying some of the core expenses, or about $700 or $800 if you're, spending more on transport. And after paying student loans and other things, not a lot of money left. All right, so that's the first year and what that first year looks like at a Morgan Stanley or at a bulge bracket.
We got an increase of $1 on our hourly pay, $11 an hour, guys. Yeah, Morgan Stanley doesn't sound that appealing either, right? So made $3,500 a month, moved up to a bulge bracket, ballers, right? Yeah, rent went up because you're working in a different city. San Francisco is a little bit more expensive. But then guess what? You still have about $1,100 left. Now that's not that bad. Like $1,100 is good money if you're smart about it. You could save $500 and spend another $500 on yourself. But still, if you think about the time that you're spending and all the work you're doing, you're making $11 an hour, and you don't have any hours left at the end of the day. So you don't really get time to spend that money. But in return, you're getting a great experience. You get that brand name on your resume. You get to do all these deals, right? So yeah, all the experience stuff is cool, but we're just talking about the money you make. Not a lot of money, right? So someone who's walking around acting like they're hot shit because they're a banker, just ignore them, right? They're not making that much money. And if they are, they don't have time to spend it. All right, let's move on to second year at Morgan Stanley.
All right, so that was first year. Now let's move on to second year. So we'll come back to this pay stub that I showed you, and remember that number I showed you guys, which was 127,156.20. So we'll start from that number again, and I'll walk you through exactly what that looks like. So this is for second year at a bulge bracket. So the overall salary, or the gross salary you're receiving on an annual basis, right? Which includes base and bonus, by the way. So base plus bonus is 127,156.20. So that's the number that we start with. Like I said before, $80,000 of that is gross, your base salary. So base salary is $80,000. We'll ignore the bonus for now. I'll do the bonus later. So $80,000 base salary. So taking out all of those things, you're left with $48,351.32. Right, so that's the number that you get. So this is your net salary that hits the bank. Right now, if you divide this by 12 to get the monthly number, your monthly salary is $4,029.28. So that is the monthly salary that you will receive at the end of the month. You may get it in 2 paychecks, but that's kind of the salary you should be expecting. So net salary or income, let's just say, right, that hits the bank account, doing the monthly expenses math again. So when you do all of this, what you end up with is your savings, lack of a better word, are $700, right? 729 to be exact. So $729, that's kind of what you're left over. Again, this is money without you even, paying any student loans or anything else. And obviously I've been very conservative in some of these items. This is obviously, if you start dating or traveling or other things, this number is definitely gonna, go lower and lower. But going back to this net salary number, if I divide this by 320, our special how many hours we work in a month, you get to your hourly salary, which is $13 per hour. So you're basically getting paid $13 an hour as a second year analyst in a bulge bracket bank. And these are some of your expenses. So not a lot of savings and not a lot of time either, right? So that's kind of what you're left with.
Whew. All right, so we got a salary increase. That's not too bad, $4,000. Okay, that's kind of cool. But guess what? Rent went up, because you're second year. Come on, you want to kind of improve your life a little bit. You're not gonna just save everything. So you upgrade your life a little bit. You move to a better part of the city. You're not living under the bridge anymore. But still, after all those expenses because you are trying to live a better life, now you're saving less money, right? You're saving about 729 bucks or so. That's not a lot. And remember, you still have your loans, most likely. You still have to pay your parents. You still have to do other things. Not a lot of money to travel. You don't have time to travel. But the key thing is you've, add another couple of bucks on your hourly pay. So that's also very interesting. So anyways, as a banking analyst, we went from 10 bucks an hour to 11 to 13 like a baller. And that's what it looks like. All right, so now that we've covered what the base compensation looks like, base compensation is basically the money you're getting on a monthly basis, let's talk about what the bonuses look like. And remember, this is what all the debate and all the secrecy is around. Oh my God, these banker bonuses. So how much do these bankers actually make? Now remember, the points that I have are only from Morgan Stanley, which is a bulge bracket. I've never worked at like a boutique firm which has paid me a bonus or one of the bigger bonuses, or I've never worked in a group that is super exclusive, which doesn't pay bonuses based on the entire firm. So I've only worked in the large firm aspect of it, which is Morgan Stanley. So there are two types of bonuses you'll get. As a first year analyst, you'll get a stub bonus. Because remember, you haven't worked the entire year given the when the job starts and when the bonuses are paid out. So everybody's kind of paid a similar bonus in their first year of being an analyst. But the second year, you actually get a bonus based on your entire performance, right? So there's two types of bonuses that you get at the end of the year. And when I say at the end of the year, for analysts from my time, you would get your bonus around June and July, right? Because that would be the time when you would have worked almost a full year, but it would be an off-cycle time, and a big chunk of it would be training, so it doesn't really count. And on average, analyst bonuses for first year are usually around $30,000 to $40,000. So that's the number you should just understand and know. If you get more than that, awesome. Get less than that, no worries. It's part of life. Don't be worried about it, right? So $30,000 to $40,000 is what you should expect as a gross bonus, not net, gross bonus before all the taxes and stuff. Now, after you've done 1 year of analyst work, you'll become a second year analyst. And when you're a second year analyst, you'll get a bigger bonus. And usually these bonuses are tiered into a couple of buckets, right? So the top bucket, which is the highest bucket, then there's a middle bucket, and then there's a bottom bucket. 90% of analysts are in the middle bucket, right? Then there's an analyst or two in your group that's gonna be bottom bucket. It's just how it is. And there's gonna be an analyst, one or two, who's gonna be top bucket, right? But most people are gonna be in the middle, which is called the middle bucket. I was a middle bucket analyst. The only thing you should try to do is to never be bottom bucket, right? If you're bottom bucket, it's really, really bad. You'll feel like shit because you'll work the same number of hours. But mostly when people get bottom bucket is because someone doesn't like you at the firm, right? So just don't have any enemies, be nice, be humble, be a hard worker. If you just do that, you can avoid being a bottom bucket. But if you're a troublemaker, if you're just like always annoying and pain in the butt to work with, you'll get that bottom bucket. So be middle bucket. I was middle bucket, love being middle bucket, right? Now top bucket's cool if you can, but it takes a lot of effort. And there's a ceiling to getting top bucket. If you're not that amazing level of good, you're not gonna be able to get top bucket. I've only met one or two people in my life who've been top bucket and truly deserve it, right? But most people aren't top bucket, right? Even if they do get that top bucket bonus. So, and the amount of work it takes to become top bucket, you basically have to sacrifice everything else, right? So nothing else matters in your life other than being a Excel modeler or aligning logos. Like if you want to do that for all your life, then yes, go for it, be top bucket. But in my opinion, strive for being middle bucket. That's the best place to be, okay? Best place to be. All right, you got that. All right, awesome. All right, now let's do the math for the first bonus I got. So the first bonus I ever received was a Morgan Stanley bonus, a stub bonus, and that was $30,000. So we're gonna take $30,000. I'm gonna walk you through how much money did I pay to the government, and then how much money was left for buying my vacation for that year. So let's walk through that math right now.
All right, so time to do the bonuses. The first one we're gonna do is Morgan Stanley first year bonus. Now, usually when you're getting a bonus, you'll get something called a stub bonus, right? So stub bonus is what happens because, you kind of start off cycle, you go through training in the summer. Generally speaking, stub bonuses are anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000, depending on where you work. The bonus I got was $30,000 as a first year analyst at Morgan Stanley. So this is Morgan Stanley, by the way, right? So just to make sure we're not confusing this with Houlihan Lokey. Now, you don't get all of that money. They'll say you're getting a $30,000 bonus, but what it looks like is this. So your gross bonus, right, is $30,000. So I'm just gonna write that down here. So when you do all of that, the remaining bonus, the bonus that hits your bank account, is 18,131.75, right? So this number right here, 18,131.75. This is your final bonus, net bonus after working almost 12 months at a bulge bracket investment bank. This is what you're supposed to have at the end of the 12 months of work. And look, that's good money. That's not bad. For all that work, you get, this cash inflow. That's good stuff. That's a couple of good vacations.
Yep, $18,000. Not bad. I think 18,000 is a lot of money, right? 18,000 is 3-4 vacations, really good vacations, or 2 really amazing vacations, right? $18,000 can pay off a student loan, a part of it at least. $18,000 is a half or 1/3 of a nice diamond ring for your significant other. $18,000 can do a lot of cool things. So this is not a small amount. It seems like a small amount when you are in the industry, but it's actually a lot of money. And so I wouldn't look down on it. I think this is great. So, but expectations, that's where I want you to have your expectations. Don't go into these jobs and be like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a millionaire on day one. No, you're not gonna be that, right? So you're gonna make something like this, and that's okay. It's a good vacation, it's gonna keep you comfortable, it's gonna help you save for the future, buy a Bitcoin or something like that. This is helpful. So anyways, $18,000 is what you're kind of left with after your first year of hard work. All right, let's move on to a second year bonus.
All right, so we've done the first year bonus. So this is the first year, right? And this is the stub bonus. Second year, you usually get a larger bonus. The bonus I actually received, the gross bonus for my second year at Morgan Stanley, was $47,000, like I said before, $156.20. Now that's the bonus that they tell you when they meet you at the end of your review or exit interview, that's the amount of money you'll be getting. But again, that's not the money you end up getting in your bank account. So what does that look like? So the money that actually hits the bank account, right? The net bonus. This is the key number that you should be focused on. And this is the money that ends up hitting the bank account. And that is $28,500.81. Right? So that's the number that you ultimately get at the end. Now remember, this is great. This is another 10K from what you get in your first year. This is your second year bonus. And that's pretty awesome. That's a big chunk of your student loans paid, bunch of good vacations, you can buy some cool things. That's good money. That's good money for 12 months of work. And look, be honest about it. There's a lot of Americans and people in the world who don't even get close to this on an annual salary basis, pre-tax. So this is very, very good. And that's kind of the bonus you should be expecting. And by the way, this is middle bucket bonus. I wasn't a top bucket guy or a bottom bucket guy. Middle bucket, that's kind of the number you're expecting, or somewhere around that number.
Yeah, I mean, not that much better, but a lot better, right? So remember, like a lot of people, they finish their second year of investment banking, and they're like, oh, we worked so hard, and now this is when we were supposed to receive that big, 6-7 figure bonus. Nope, not as an analyst, guys. Have your expectations right? So here, I made about $28,000 after all the taxes and stuff was paid off for. But this is great. Remember, you already have your next job lined up for most of us. Maybe you're going back to business school or something along those lines, but you have a summer off, and guess what? You just got fresh cash in the bank. 28,000 US dollars? That's a lot. And remember, these are numbers from 2013, guys. Now, numbers might be a little bit different, but not too far from it. But having said that, you're getting $28,000 to $30,000 in your bank account, cash money, right, at the end of this, and you have a whole summer ahead of you. That's good money. You could pay off the rest of your student loans. That's half a diamond ring for some of us out there who have a significant other who is waiting for you to show up. Or this could be a really, really nice year off. You could even go travel the world, live in Asia for half this amount. So this is not a small amount. This is a really good amount, but that's the amount you get. When I got that bonus, the first thing I did was I went and traveled. I spent about a month away, and that's what I did. But anyways, $28,000, that's what you should be expecting around that number after all the taxes are paid, and be happy with it. All right, so that's the video, but the key question is, was this worth it? So what I want you guys to do in the comments is, would you do this? Is this worth your time? And remember, look at the numbers, $10 an hour, $11 an hour, $13 an hour, right? Yes, there are better jobs which give you free time after that. You can use the money that you make to do something like that. And it's not like you're making millions here. Like, there are other jobs in tech and startups that give you a work-life balance as well, and you probably would make more money or have the upside of equity in those companies. But here you have no equity, it's purely cash, you gotta pay a bunch of taxes anyways, right? So is it worth it? So that's the question for you guys to answer. Write to me in the comments section below and let me know, would you do this? Personally, if I could rewind time, would I do it? Yes, I would do it. I would 100% do it because I think the boot camp is amazing. I think you learn so many skills, you become an expert at Excel, PowerPoint, Word. You just become a better person with like handling a computer, right? Managing documents, you know, dealing with clients, working with senior partners, all of that stuff. It just makes you a better professional. And guess what? It's only 2 years. Once you've done it, you'll always have had that experience on your belt, right? So everybody will be like, okay, this person has done investment banking before, or consulting or accounting, whatever that industry is. But my point is, I would do it. I would definitely do it if I could rewind time. I would even do it earlier, right? If I could, do it straight out of undergrad and didn't have to take the route that I had to take. But if you get a chance, I would recommend you do it. Don't worry about the money. Money is great. I think it's a lot of money, right? Even if it's the money that I got paid in 2013, 12, and 11. But I think you guys should do it. But anyways, let me know in the comments if you would do this and if this appeals to you. But anyways, thanks for coming to my first YouTube video. I'm hopefully gonna get better at this. That's the goal. And make more fun and exciting content for you guys from my life to yours. So subscribe, click that notification bell thing that people say you should do. Shoot me a note, tell me more stuff about yourself. I don't know, what do you want me to do? Anyways, thanks guys for joining. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.